Last night, I was starting my first shift at the underground water pump facility. They told me it would be easy. Just monitor the gauges, check the pressure levels, and make sure nothing goes wrong. The pay was suspiciously good for such simple work, but I needed the money. I should have asked why the last guy quit. The facility was buried 3 stories beneath the city, accessible only by a rusted elevator that groaned with every foot it descended. When the doors finally opened, the smell hit me first. Damp concrete mixed with something metallic, something wrong. The fluorescent lights buzzed and flickered, casting dancing shadows across endless corridors of pipes. My supervisor, Marcus, was waiting. His face was pale, eyes sunken like he hadn't slept in weeks. He handed me a clipboard and a 2-way radio. "Stay in the control room," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "No matter what you hear, stay in the control room. Do your rounds at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., and 6 a.m. Never go into the East Wing. Ever." I laughed nervously. "What's in the East Wing?" He didn't answer. He just stared at me with those hollow eyes before stepping into the elevator. "The radio only works down here. If you need help, you're on your own." The elevator doors closed, and I was alone. The control room was small, cramped, filled with ancient monitors displaying pressure readings and water flow data. A single desk lamp provided the only warm light. Outside the thick glass window, I could see the main pump chamber, a massive room with pipes as thick as tree trunks converging into a central reservoir. The water was black, unnaturally still. The first 2 hours passed in suffocating silence. I filled out the logs, checked the gauges, tried not to think about Marcus's warning. Then, at exactly 1:47 a.m., I heard it. Footsteps, echoing through the corridors. Slow, deliberate, coming from somewhere deep in the facility. I grabbed the radio. "Hello, Marcus? Is someone else down here?" Static. Then a voice, distorted, barely human. "Check the East Wing." My blood ran cold. I hadn't told anyone about the East Wing. I put down the radio and stared at the monitors. Everything looked normal. The footsteps stopped. Maybe I was just tired, paranoid. This place would make anyone paranoid. At 2 a.m., I started my first round. The corridors stretched endlessly, lit by those awful flickering lights. My footsteps echoed, making it impossible to tell if I was alone. I checked pump station A, normal. Station B, normal. I was heading back to the control room when I saw it. A wet footprint. Just one, leading toward the East Wing. It wasn't there a minute ago. The concrete had been dry. I knelt down, touched it. Cold. It wasn't water. It was thicker, darker. I pulled my hand back, my fingers stained black. The radio crackled. "Don't follow it." Marcus's voice, panicked. "Get back to the control room. Now." I ran. Behind me, I heard the footsteps again, faster now, matching my pace. I didn't look back. I slammed the control room door and locked it, my heart hammering in my chest. Through the window, I watched the pump chamber. The water was moving now, rippling, though no pumps were running. Something was rising from the reservoir. At first, it was just a shape, a darkness darker than the water itself. Then I saw the outline, vaguely human but wrong. Too tall, limbs too long, head tilted at an impossible angle. It stood there waist deep in the black water, facing the control room. Facing me. The monitors went haywire. Pressure readings spiked. Alarms blared. I frantically tried to shut them off, but nothing responded. The lights in the pump chamber died, plunging everything into darkness except for my small desk lamp. In that darkness, I heard scratching on the glass. The window was 10 feet away, but I heard it clearly, long, scraping sounds like nails on a chalkboard. The radio, it knows you're here. What the hell is that thing? I screamed into the radio. Marcus's voice was shaking. "We don't know. It came with the facility. Been here longer than the city above. We pump water around it, keep it contained. The East Wing, that's where we sealed the old access tunnels, where it used to roam free. You brought me down here with that thing. We needed someone. It's been getting stronger. The last guy, he opened the East Wing. We never found his body. The scratching stopped. The silence was worse. I could feel it watching me, studying me through the darkness. The temperature dropped. My breath came out in clouds. Frost formed on the inside of the glass. Then the door handle began to turn. I hadn't heard footsteps. I hadn't heard anything. But something was trying to get in. The lock held, but barely. The metal groaned under impossible pressure. The 4 a.m. round, I gasped into the radio. I'm supposed to do a round at 4 a.m. No, Marcus said, you stay in that room. Do you understand? You stay. The radio went dead. The door handle stopped turning. For a moment, I thought it was over. Then I heard a new sound. From above, in the ventilation shaft, something was crawling through the ducts. I grabbed the only weapon I could find, a heavy pipe wrench from the tool cabinet. The scratching in the vents grew louder, closer. I watched the grate above, praying it would hold. Metal groaned. Screws popped loose. The grate fell, clattering to the floor. Nothing came out. Just darkness. A darkness that seemed to breathe. I backed against the wall, wrench raised. That's when I noticed the monitors. They were still working, but they weren't showing the pump stations anymore. They showed corridors. Hundreds of corridors I'd never seen. And in each one, standing perfectly still, was a figure. The same figure. Tall, wrong, watching. All of them turned their heads toward the camera at the same moment. The desk lamp flickered. In that brief darkness, I felt something cold brush against my neck. When the light returned, I spun around. Nothing. But on the wall behind me, written in that same black substance from the footprint, were 3 words. East wing open. My legs moved before my brain could process. I burst out of the control room, running blindly through the corridors. Behind me, I heard it, not footsteps, but something sliding, dragging across the floor. The lights died one by one, darkness chasing me. I found the elevator, slammed the button. Nothing. I pressed it again and again, screaming. The dragging sound was getting closer. I could smell it now, rot and rust and something ancient. The elevator dinged. The doors opened. I threw myself inside, hitting the button for the surface. The doors began to close. In that final sliver of light before they sealed shut, I saw it clearly for the first time. It wasn't one creature. It was many. Bodies fused together, melted and twisted into a single writhing mass. And at the center, I recognized a face. The last guy, still screaming, still alive, trapped in that thing forever. The elevator rose. I sobbed, clutching the wrench. When the doors opened to the surface, dawn was breaking. Marcus was waiting, looking even worse than before. You made it, he said, surprised. You actually made it. I quit, I told him. He nodded slowly. Most people do. After the first night, he handed me an envelope, my payment. It was 10 times what we agreed. Why didn't you warn me? I demanded. Marcus looked back at the elevator, at the darkness below. Would you have believed me? He started walking away, then stopped. Oh, and the East Wing? It's always been open. We just tell people not to go there. The thing down there, it likes the game. It likes the fear. If you hadn't run, if you just stayed in the control room until morning, it would have left you alone. What? See you tonight, he called back. You're scheduled for a full week. I looked down at the envelope, at the amount of money inside. Enough to change my life. I thought about my bills, my debts, my empty bank account. I thought about that thing in the darkness. Tonight, I start my second shift. And this time, I'm not running. This time, I'm going to find out what's really in the East Wing. Because I need to know. Because the worst part is, I heard my own voice on that radio, telling me to check the East Wing. And I don't remember making that call.